Question 9. A motorist planned to cover more than 400 miles in 8 hours. During the second 4 hours of the trip, he traveled 10 miles per hour faster than during the first 4 hours of the trip. How fast did he travel during the first part of the trip if he succeeded in driving more than 400 miles during the 8 hours? Ooh, okay. First thing is, this is a velocity. It's a rate question, right? So you have to realize that, distance is velocity times time. Now, where do we get that from? The definition of velocity, it's distance divided by time, right? Like, how fast were you traveling when you drove to work this morning? You know, I was going 1,000 kilometers per hour. Okay, that's an exaggeration, but kilometers, okay, is the distance divided by time, right? Kilometers per hour. So time is on the bottom. So velocity is distance divided by time. And if you want to cross multiply the time, you get velocity times time is distance. Okay, so the distance traveled is the velocity, the speed traveled at, times the time that it took to do that amount of traveling. So what I'm going to say is let v be the speed in the first part of the trip. Okay, we have two parts of the trip. During the second 4 hours of the trip, he traveled 10 miles per hour faster than during the first part. Okay, so we're comparing the second part, the second velocity, to the first velocity, or the first part of the trip, velocity speed. Okay, so how fast did he travel during the first part of the trip? So I'm going to let v be the speed in the first part of the trip, and in the second part, he traveled 10 miles per hour faster. Okay, so it's going to be v plus 10 is the speed in the second part of the trip. All right, and we know that in total he drove more than 400 miles during 8 hours. Okay, and the first part was 4 hours, and the second part was 4 hours. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply velocity times time for each of the two sections. Okay, so here I have 4 times, that 4 is the number of hours, so 4 times v, the velocity in the first part, plus 4 times v plus 10, which is the velocity in the second part. Okay, this will give us our distance for the first part, our distance for the second part, and we notice that the total distance is greater than 400. And there's the equation. So we have 4v plus 4 times brackets, v plus 10, close brackets, is greater than 400. I'm going to expand this bracket here. The 4 is going to multiply the v and multiply the 10. So we get 4v plus 40 is greater than 400. I'm going to add my like terms, add the 4 v's together. So we have 8v plus 40 is greater than 400. I want to get rid of that 40, so I'm going to subtract 40 from both sides of the equation, and we have 8v is greater than 360. Now I'd like to get rid of that 8, which is multiplying the v, so I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to divide both sides by 8. Okay, and since I'm dividing by a positive, it doesn't change the direction of the inequality. So 8 divided by 8 is 1, so we're left with v is greater than 360. Okay, 360 divided by 8 is 45, so we have v is greater than 45. And that's our answer. Okay, so the velocity in the first part of the trip is greater than 45. Okay, so the motorist traveled at more than 45 miles per hour on the first part of the trip. Have a good day.